Ready to dive into the bold world of 80s gay cinema? Step into a realm where passion, rebellion, and unforgettable stories burst onto the screen. From electrifying romances to groundbreaking classics, this journey through queer film is packed with surprises that'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about love. So, grab your popcorn and let's hit play. Inspired by the life of spy Guy Burgess, this British drama reimagines his youth at an elite 1930s boarding school. Rupert Everett stars as Guy Bennett, a gay student whose clandestine romance with fellow pupil Tommy Judd, Querelle, sparks scandal. The film's critique of Britain's classist, homophobic institutions parallels Burgess' eventual defection to the USSR. Everett's smoldering performance and the lush cinematography elevate this into a tragic ode to forbidden love and ideological rebellion. Written by Hanif Qureshi, this Thatcher-era gem follows Omar, Gordon Warnicka, a Pakistani-British entrepreneur, and Johnny, Daniel Day-Lewis, his punk ex-lover turned business partner. Their romance blossoms amid racial tensions and family expectations, set against the backdrop of a struggling laundromat. Day-Lewis's transformative performance as Johnny, a skinhead shedding his bigotry, captures the film's central theme: love as a radical act of reinvention. A vibrant collision of politics, humor, and queer desire. Adapted from David Rabe's Pulitzer-winning play, Streamers traps viewers in a claustrophobic barracks where 4 soldiers await deployment to Vietnam.
Why I gotta be? Why I gotta be?
When Richie, David Allen Greer, a black soldier, comes out as gay, the group's fragile camaraderie shatters. Homophobic slurs, racial tensions, and machismo collide in a pressure cooker of fear and prejudice. The film's unrelenting tension peaks in a violent, chaotic finale, exposing the toxic masculinity fueling both the military and the war itself. Altman's decision to retain the play's theatrical dialogue amplifies the rawness, making Streamers a searing critique of institutionalized oppression. In this understated British drama, a dog becomes the unlikely battleground for unspoken queer desire. Johnny, Gary Oldman, imprisoned for theft, entrusts his beloved dog Evie to his ex-lover Frank, Alan Bates. What begins as a simple favor spirals into a quiet storm of jealousy, longing, and unacknowledged love. Frank's visits to Johnny's working-class family reveal layers of class tension and repressed emotions, while Evie's loyalty mirrors the character's fractured connections. Adapted from Joseph Hanson's novel, the film critiques societal expectations of masculinity and heteronormativity, culminating in a finale where Frank's simmering resentment erupts in a moment of raw vulnerability. A poignant exploration of how love can be both tender and suffocating, this film remains a hidden gem of 1980s queer cinema. Set against the crumbling Berlin Wall, this East German landmark film follows Philip, a closeted teacher whose double life unravels after a chance encounter at a gay bar. As political protests surge outside, Philip grapples with internal revolution, coming out to his students, colleagues, and himself. The film's climax, where Philip publicly declares his sexuality during a classroom lecture, mirrors East Germany's own societal upheaval. Notably, Coming Out was the first and last gay-themed film produced in East Germany before reunification. Its unflinching portrayal of queer identity under socialism, combined with its historical timing, makes it a cultural artifact of defiance and hope. This audacious German autofiction stars Riplo himself as Frank, a Berlin elementary school teacher who spends his nights cruising public toilets and gay bars. The film's unapologetic hedonism, graphic sex scenes, drug use, and chaotic relationships shocked audiences, but offered a radical counter-narrative to sanitized portrayals of gay life. When Frank falls for Bernd, a conservative teacher, their clashing lifestyles ignite a darkly comic culture war. Shot on a shoestring budget, Taxi Zum Klo became a cult classic for its fearless honesty, capturing the liberating and self-destruct excesses of pre-AIDS queer subculture. Hollywood's first mainstream gay romance, Making Love follows Zach Michael Ontkean, a married doctor who falls for novelist Bart Harry Hamlin. The film's groundbreaking premise, centering a sympathetic gay protagonist, was both praised and pilloried in 1982. While some criticized its sanitized portrayal of queer desire, no explicit kisses, others hailed its message of self-acceptance. Kate Jackson, as Zach's wife Claire, delivers a nuanced performance, balancing heartbreak with empathy. Though tame by today's standards, Making Love paved the way for later LGBTQ+ narratives in mainstream cinema, proving that queer stories could resonate with wider audiences. Van Sant's debut feature is a gritty, poetic ode to unrequited love and Portland's grungy underbelly. Walt, Tim Streeter, a lonely store clerk, obsesses over Johnny, Doug Couillet, a Mexican immigrant who drifts in and out of his life. Shot in stark black and white, the film's lo-fi aesthetic mirrors Walt's fragmented psyche. Language barriers and cultural divides heighten the tension, culminating in a haunting finale where Walt's desperation leads to a violent confrontation. Noche established Van Sant's signature style, lyrical, raw, and unafraid to explore the margins of desire. Almodovar's flamboyant melodrama revolves around Pablo, Eusebio Poncela, a gay filmmaker entangled in a love triangle with Antonio Banderas, a dangerously obsessive fan, and Tina, Carmen Maura, his transgender sister. The film's campy excess, drag performances, murder plots, and incestuous undertones masks a deeper commentary on artistic obsession and familial bonds. Banderas' breakout role as the unhinged Antonio electrifies the screen, while Maura's Tina embodies resilience and wit. A cornerstone of new queer cinema, Law of Desire celebrates queer chaos as both destructive and liberating. Jarman's avant-garde biopic reimagines the life of Baroque painter Caravaggio, Nigel Terry, as a queer anarchist. Tilda Swinton, in her film debut, plays Lena, Caravaggio's muse and lover, while Sean Bean embodies Ranuccio, the artist's violent rival. The film's anachronistic touches, typewriters, neon lights, blur past and present, mirroring Caravaggio's timeless rebellion. Jarman, dying of AIDS during production, infuses the film with urgency, framing art as both a weapon and refuge, a visually sumptuous meditation on creativity, sexuality, and mortality. Set in 1980s New York, this tender dramedy follows Michael, Richard Ganong, as he bids farewell to his boyfriend Robert, who's leaving for a job in Africa. Meanwhile, their friend Nick, Steve Buscemi, a punk musician battling AIDS, injects dark humor into the narrative. Sherwood's film is a time capsule of LGBTQ+ life during the AIDS crisis, balancing levity and grief. Buscemi's scene-stealing performance and the film's refusal to sensationalize queer relationships made it a beacon of authenticity. Tragically, Sherwood died of AIDS before making another film, cementing Parting Glances as his bittersweet legacy. This darkly comic biopic traces the rise and brutal demise of playwright Joe Orton, Gary Oldman, and his lover Kenneth Halliwell, Alfred Molina. Orton's razor-sharp wit catapults him to fame, while Halliwell's jealousy festers into madness. The film's climax, Halliwell bludgeoning Orton to death before taking his own life, is rendered with chilling matter-of-factness. Vanessa Redgrave shines as Orton's agent, Peggy Ramsey, who delivers the film's thesis: talent is an accident of genes and a responsibility, a cautionary tale about the price of genius and the fragility of love. Fassbinder's final film is a hallucinatory adaptation of Jean Genet's novel Querelle de Brest. Sailor Querelle, Brad Davis, descends into a neon-lit port town where he trades sex for secrets and betrayal for survival. The film's hyper-stylized sets and lurid color palette create a dreamlike underworld, reflecting Querelle's moral ambiguity. Fassbinder, who died shortly after filming, imbues the story with his own nihilistic philosophy. Every act of love is an act of despair, a polarizing masterpiece that revels in queer transgression. Harvey Fierstein adapts his Tony-winning play, starring as Arnold Beckoff, a drag queen navigating love, loss, and motherhood in 1970s New York. The film's three acts, a fling with a bisexual model, adopting a gay teen, and confronting his homophobic mother, Anne Bancroft, balance campy theatrics with raw emotion. Fierstein's gravelly voice and wit anchor the story, culminating in a powerhouse showdown with Bancroft. I don't have to settle for your scraps of love. A defiant celebration of queer chosen family. William Hurt won an Oscar for his role as Molina, a flamboyant prisoner who distracts cellmate Valentine, Raul Julia, a Marxist revolutionary, with tales of old Hollywood films. Their unlikely bond, forged through B-movie fantasies and shared suffering, becomes a lifeline in Argentina's brutal dictatorship. Adapted from Manuel Puig's novel, the film interrogates the power of storytelling as both escape and resistance. The final act, where Molina sacrifices himself for Valentine's cause, transforms camp into profound political allegory.